Finn. If I got that one, and I tripped over that one, if I got that one wrong. Maura, good afternoon to you. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Good afternoon, Mary Claire.
And thanks indeed for joining us on the programme. Maura, we're chatting today, and we have been, I think, for the last couple of days about the Athlone boundary review. And I know all along you've come under a lot of pressure on this issue as the government candidate, the Fine Gael government candidate on this issue. You've kind of stepped back from wanting to give promises on this previously when people have asked you how far would you go, but you seem to have now clarified where you're at.
In terms of, I suppose, the challenges that we face at the moment, I'm after coming from Monkland area this morning where I'm assisting people with submissions, and I have been and continue to be absolutely opposed to any change to our county boundary. Minister Kathleen Lynch this week in the Seanad, who was stepping in for Minister Alan Kelly, really clarified that if there is any proposed alteration to the county boundary, that it would have to go through both the Dáil and the Seanad.
And that contradicts, I think, the position that Save Roscommon were of the understanding. They had previously said that legislation to give that effect hadn't been enacted, because I was certainly surprised at that. Were you?
Yes, our initial understanding was that it would be the Minister's decision. But, certainly if elected, and should a boundary alteration in relation to County Roscommon come before the Dáil and the Seanad, I will be voting against the government. I'm very much supporting the people of Roscommon on this issue, and I do so because I have met with many people, not just within the greater Monksland area that's affected by it, those 7,000 people, but throughout the entire county. People are very angry, and I am furious as well that this is even being debated, because it doesn't make sense on any level. Roscommon, I suppose, can point to the Monksland area as one of our most positive success stories. As a young person myself, we have been successful in attracting young, skilled, ambitious individuals back to this area. And therefore, we need to continue to grow it as we have been doing. And Roscommon County Council have really prioritised that area because they have identified it as a young hub and a hub for development. So I'm firmly stating my absolute opposition to it, and certainly if elected, I will be opposing any change to the boundary. But I do not believe that the county boundary will change under the next government.
Okay, now just to tease a couple of things out in this, and I'll get to why you think it won't change in just a second, but you will admit that up until now you didn't want to make a promise on this issue and go as far as you're doing now. What has changed for you?
It's important that we try to ensure that whoever that minister is with responsibility for the environment is aware of our concerns, knows that we are absolutely opposed to them, and therefore it's essential that we have a government representative that has direct and a good working relationship with that minister. And it's certainly on that basis that I wanted to work, if elected, within government to ensure that we received a positive outcome and that our county boundary was not affected.
Okay, so in a sense what you're saying is that if you say to whoever the next minister is, be they a member of the Fine Gael party, if the Fine Gael party is returned, or a member of a party in coalition with Fine Gael, that you want to make it very clear to that minister and to your party that they won't have your support if they proceed with this.
Absolutely, and I have spoken with senior members of government over the past number of weeks, and I have strongly emphasised that this does not make sense on any level, and the people are very angry about this, and rightly so. And I say that I believe that the county boundary won't change under the next government. I really believe it won't, because there is
have you any information
support from the people.
Okay.
We have a large number of submissions. My office has been receiving several submissions from people. We've also been actively encouraging people to make submissions to. And, the huge body of evidence against a boundary alteration.
Yeah, and possibly if there was going to be a decision or a recommendation made on the number of opposition statements or submissions that are in on this, it's likely that Roscommon's opposition to this will outweigh any other number of submissions, but really it's not by volume, even though you need a lot of submissions. It's going to be about what the review team think at the end of the day. Is there anything other than people's opposition to this more that leads you to believe that it will not be approved by a government minister? Have you heard anything on it?
Well, I suppose just in terms of the evidence there, the Department of the Environment have written to Roscommon County Council in relation to the local area plan for the Monksland area. Yeah. And really, in principle, they have commended Roscommon County Council on their proposals. Similarly, in terms of municipal districts, Roscommon now has been divided into 3 municipal districts. Mm-hmm. And our municipal district in the South Roscommon Athlone area would not stand as a municipal district.
Oh, you'd have to redraw the whole county and you'd lose X amount of councillors as well.
The whole criteria around a municipal district is to have an urban centre, and then it filters out from that.
Okay. Has anybody...
Certainly, I would feel that, and Roscommon County Council have been very proactive on that in relation to ensuring that we have, obviously, one, the strong support of the people, which is absolutely there, but also evidence to show that this would not be a good decision.
Okay, but if the review team think otherwise and make a recommendation contrary to that, either for a greater urban centre in the Athlone area, independent of Westmeath and Roscommon, or subsumed into Westmeath, and this goes in front of a minister, have you received any assurances that your party leadership won't support that?
We need to await the findings from the Commission.
And I know that Enda Kenny, that's what he has told you, and you said that at the public meeting in the Athlone Springs, that that's the feedback you've got from him. Have you heard anything since then, Maura, to give you confidence in saying what you're saying today, that you'd vote against this, because you know it's never going to happen?
I don't believe it's going to happen on the basis of, people's support and evidence.
But not from your party leadership. So they still haven't given you, look at Maura, it's all right, it's not going to happen. They haven't given you that nod yet.
Yeah, the government cannot interfere with an independent commission that has been set up.
Okay.
We need to await the findings of that commission.
Okay.
But I would believe that the county boundary will not change under the next government. And I suppose, alongside that, our focus needs to be on ensuring that we have a government representative to really strongly emphasise our opposition to it, but also that we have a government representative that's focused on creating greater job opportunities within this region, to ensure that we have, as a person very passionate about stroke services, that we have better rehabilitation services. And because we received a report from the Irish Heart Foundation last week that really emphasises that there's huge problems within that area, and we need to work hard on it. And that's, yes, this is a huge issue.
But there's other issues.
I am stating my absolute opposition to it.
Insofar as you would go against your own party if they're in government.
Boundary alteration, yes.
Right.
I'm also working on many other issues.
And we're going to get to all of those when we have our chat about the election, when that's called. Maura, can I just put something to you? And this has obviously crossed your mind. You are now the sole Fine Gael candidate on the ticket for the party in the general election, because admittedly your would-be predecessor Frank Feehan, the current TD, knows he's toxic because of the hospital issue. HICWA, similar to this Boundary Review Commission, was an independent body that came up with a situation in relation to smaller hospitals, that they needed extra resources that the government said it couldn't provide to deliver safe care at the county hospital in Roscommon. Therefore, the government used HICWA, the independent body, to back up their decision to close the A&E. They did that against the will of Dennis Naughton and Frank Feehan at the time. There was a vote on it. One TD went one way, the other went the other way. Can you foresee that happening to you this time out?
It's very hard to predict what can happen. I mean, it's very hard.
The government have a track record. I know, and the government, I'm just saying to you, the government have a track record of, if they want something to happen, of disregarding the wills of their TDs for this. Now, Frank Feehan, in fairness, thought it was the right decision at the time, and that's why he voted for it. Dennis Naughton didn't. And so he lost the party whip, and he's an independent at the moment. Are you conscious that similar fate could come upon you if there's a vote on this in Leinster House?
Well, certainly at that time, and I have stated publicly that promises were made that should not have been made at the time.
Yeah.
It should not have happened.
But you're promising the Roscommon people today, Maura, that you will vote against the government if this does come to pass.
My clear position on it is, if there is a boundary alteration in relation to County Roscommon, and it comes before, which it will have to, and if elected, comes before the Dáil and the Seanad, I will be voting against the government.
Okay. So you are aware that you could face a similar fate to Deputy Dennis Naughton?
I am willing to take whatever consequences come my way, but I am standing with the people of Roscommon on this issue.
Okay, and you've made that very clear, because, and we appreciate that. Just more, I know that we hear that this issue won't come up until a new government is formed, and Alan Kelly has told John Kelly, the Senator, that he won't sign off on this. It'll be kicked to the next minister. But if for some reason this happens in between two governments and you take up a possible seat in the government, will you continue to support the Fine Gael government?
It will have to come before the two houses of the Oireachtas.
Okay. If it doesn't, though, will you?
It will have to. I mean, okay. Minister Kathleen Lynch has made that very clear that it will have to go before both the Dáil and the Seanad if a boundary alteration is proposed.
Okay. And in fairness, I know that Minister Kathleen Lynch said that very clearly yesterday in her speech to the Seanad. Have you communicated your latest position to your party leader, Maura?
I have.
Okay, what has he said to you?
I have communicated clearly with him, to his office, that this is the position that I'm taking, and I will be speaking with him on this issue at the Ordesh during the weekend.
Okay, have you received any feedback from the Taoiseach's office on this as yet?
As of yet, I haven't.
You haven't, but you will be speaking to him over the weekend.
I will, and I will be strongly emphasising our opposition towards any move to change our county boundary.
Okay. He's due to come to Roscommon, I think, to open the civic headquarters. Have we an update on that at all, Maura? Do you know if he's firmed that up yet?
I don't have an update on that. I know it was raised at the council meeting, the special council meeting that was held about 3 weeks ago, but I haven't an update since then.
Okay, we might get an update after the Ordesh as well. It's a brave position to put yourself in, Maura. I mean, you are, I suppose, in your candidacy now and in the local elections is as one of the results of what happened over the hospital issue. I'm just saying to you, it's a brave position to put yourself in, knowing what's previously happened.
Well, I mean, the people of Roscommon are very angry about this, and there's a huge depth of feeling around identity and around being a Roscommon person. And people really strongly do not want this to happen. Okay. And I do not want to see it happen either. Okay, and you're willing to put your political career within Fine Gael on the line for it? Yes.
Maura, we might chat to you on Monday after you have a word with the Taoiseach, but thank you very much for joining us on the programme this afternoon and for giving us your position on that. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary Claire.
Thanks indeed. That's the Fine Gael general election candidate, the only candidate standing for Fine Gael in the Roscommon Galway constituency, Maura Hopkins. Obviously, having listened to what people are saying on the ground and at the doorsteps, because Maura's been on the canvas now for a while, she is taking on board what people have said, and I, for one hand and heart, believe it's an extremely brave position to take, and I hope it's once bitten, twice shy in terms of Fine Gael in regard to issues in Roscommon come this general election. We're back.